find your daddy? Yeah? Wanna go for a walk? Okay. Let's go. After several days at Swanee River with no cell phone service and no Starlink, Patrick was on a mission to find somewhere that we could get some connectivity with the Starlink. So we walked over to see if he was having any luck. Ready walking yourself? Here's the little area with the dumpster on the other side of the campground. We found Patrick. He's got the Starlink pointed to that little open patch of sky. Alright, okay, we'll keep going. Just give me a minute. Crazy dog. Oh, wow. That's so much better than it was yesterday. What was it yesterday?
It was at like
it was
40,
not
20
great.
maybe.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I just played with it, moving it around.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the little show obstructions, and it was showing this side a little bit more, so I moved it back. And poof, it worked. Fine.
Wow.
So you can have trees, you just need a little bit of open. You don't need much, really.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
When I saw other people using it. I thought you needed like open.
Yeah.
I guess because so many of the people we see using it are out west.
Which maybe in the very beginning you did, but I keep getting updates every day, so
It keeps getting stronger coverage.
Yeah, so I assume it's just like maybe satellite, and just picking it up.
Yeah.
The spot that it has.
Well, that's better.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't use it at our site, but
something.
We're just on the other side of the campground, so that's pretty good. Yeah.
And it's not drawing much power.
No. Let me walk this crazy dog a little bit more, because he's a little antsy. All right, come on, bub. Come on. I took the red dog for a walk to get some of that energy out. It's been cold and rainy the last few days, so he has spent a lot more time in the camper than usual. Then when we got back, it was time to do some chores, because hanging out in the camper makes everything a little bit dirtier. I caught up on dishes. I'm still doing dishes outside with our tub, because we're not using the sewer tank, because we're not hooked up to the sewer at our site, even though it was a full hookup site. And then we figured, since it's a chores day, I would strip all the bedding off the bed, try to do some dog hair management, and create some semblance of order and cleanliness inside the camper, which is not easy after a few rainy days camping with a dog. We succeeded in getting dog hair all over ourselves, and hopefully there's a little bit less on our blanket. But luckily, this campground does have a washer dryer, so I was able to wash all the bedding and then go through the fun process of wrestling it back onto the RV bed. But we really appreciate campgrounds that have washers and dryers, especially when we're on this, our longest trip ever, which ended up being 7 weeks. You're going to have to do laundry quite a few times over that period. So for those of you who think a long-term RV trip is just this permanent vacation, it's actually pretty different, because all these normal chores that you have to do take longer and are a little bit more difficult than doing them in a house. Okay, the Scamp is as orderly as it's going to get. It's amazing how quickly it gets dirty, especially when the dog is here. And I started making the bed a different way. I kind of fold the blanket up in half, because when we put the bed extension on, I just pull the blankets down, and we figured out through much trial and error that it's good if we have 2 different blankets so that there's no tug of war in the middle of the night, mostly because of Redford, because he will just find a way to take up all the space. It's amazing. All right, I think the weather has improved enough that it's time for us to go do something fun. You ready? Oh, okay. I was literally just about to come over here and like show how the one side was rotted or like rusted and how the step kept moving. Alright, so go to Live Oak, buy a new step.
Yeah.
We can just get a step stool.
Yeah, it's rusted pretty good too.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
all up in that spot right there.
that side. Yeah. I know. Well, the trick is gonna be, can we get this side off?
We just got to rip it off.
Yeah.
We'll probably tear it off. Because there's like no bolts. I can't even like
unscrew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just gonna
have to break it.
Alright. Well, it's heavy. I kind of wanted to get rid of it anyway, honestly.
We just keep tearing things off this thing.
It's just a matter of how many things break on any given trip. Yeah. Especially, I mean, our RV is not that old. I feel like this Airstream next to us is putting us to shame because I have no idea how old it is, but that thing's vintage. It's pretty cool. And then there's us falling apart at the young age of 11. There you go. Alright, that's something.
Fixed.
Fixed. You're the smasher. You want gloves?
Yeah, it's fixed now.
You need a tetanus shot? We just threw out the rusty old steps and Pat was like, well, that's 15 pounds less for the camper, because we have been going through this process of, as things break, we try to replace it with something lighter or more efficient, easier to fix, because we've looked at the steps before and we knew they were quite rusted, and especially the last couple days, like every time you stepped on them they sort of gave a little bit, so we knew it was coming, but we couldn't figure out how to get them off. And
it's all welded on.
There's no like bolts or something that you could take off. I mean, they installed it pretty well at the factory, but when we took the RV to the welder right before we left to get the new breakaway chains put on, because the breakaway chains were so rusted, I asked Pat, I was like, do you think they could just take the steps off? I was thinking maybe they could just, like, I don't know, use like the weldy thing to just cut through the metal, but they were so busy. They were really doing us a favor when they put the new chains on, so I wasn't gonna push our luck.
They do industrial commercial work.
They were a big place for welding, so our little tiny job was really just a favor, which was nice. I appreciate that they did that for us, because as you can see, we're fighting the constant battle with an RV of rust management, especially now. I feel like we're kind of getting to that point where...
And the Scamp has been outside a lot of its life.
It hasn't been kept in a barn or anything like that, and it's been used. Like the first owners, they traveled. They didn't just take it out for a weekend here and there twice a year like some people do. They traveled with it.
Yeah, they were in Colorado.
We are using it, so that puts more wear and tear on the Scamp for sure. What do they say? Most RVs are only built to be used like 50 times or something.
Yeah.
Before pretty much everything is supposed to just break. And I think the Scamp has better build quality than most RVs. So that's why we bought it, because we wanted something that had a little bit more longevity. But the bottom line is, like, when something's outside for 11 years and it's been rattled down the road for, you know, countless numbers of times, you're gonna have stuff that breaks and needs to be replaced. We were staying about 15 minutes outside of Live Oak, and we got into town just in time to see the train. We walked around the downtown kind of historic part of Live Oak for a little while, but it's pretty busy. There's a lot of traffic. This is a main road that goes through here. You have the train tracks on the other side, so quite a bit of noise and activity. It's not as pleasant to walk around downtown Live Oak as it is in, say, Madison or even Monticello, but we wanted to just kind of see what this town was like, because there are a lot of stores, and when you go a little bit north, that's where you have Home Depot and Lowe's and food stores and all the, you know, resources that you need when you're camping in the area. Here's the new step. We just grabbed it at Lowe's. Doesn't look like much. There's a cheap little plastic step, but it's actually better because your whole foot fits on it. The other one kind of was like under here and it was a little low and it moved when you stepped on it. So it's actually pretty good. Redford hates it. He's terrified of it, but he didn't like the other steps either. So it's not that much of a change. I grabbed some food. We're making ham and cheese sandwiches. Redford's finally eating. And I'm gonna hang up these hooks in the corner. So I figured out I had this extra hook here and I started hanging up my vest in that corner, and it's really good because it's not in the way. Like, I usually sit over here so I can hang my jacket or long sleeve shirt or something. So I'm gonna do the same thing on Pat's side so he can hang some stuff up. Making use of that vertical space makes a big difference. extra hanging space with a little closet right there. Always good to find new space. Okay, go ahead. No, Red, come on. Put your butts up. Come on. Red. Come on. He wants to jump right over it. Come on. No, I'm not helping you. Come on. Figure it out. Red, come on. Let's go. Yeah.
Around it?
Yeah. He just jumped over it. It started to get cold and windy and drizzly again, so we spent the rest of the evening in the camper working on different things. And this is kind of a behind the scenes of RV travel and longer term camping when you're not out sightseeing and doing all the fun touristy things. There are those days where the weather is just not good for days on end. There's a lot more time in the camper and a lot more chores. And going through that process of fixing things when you want it to be out hiking. But stay tuned because there are still more things that are going to break during this last week of our trip, during our time at Swanee River State Park. So make sure that you are subscribed. Thank you so much to our Patreon members for supporting the production of these videos.
The next president to be, the news and what you hear of your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there. So don't be scared. Just take a deep breath of air. And 1, 2, 3 to 10, you begin to focus again. And though time flies, we'll have enough to realize this bigger than the both of us.